I hike a lot
Yeah.
in there, but only rafted it once, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I'd like to go do that. Hi, I'm Elisa Parker. We're broadcasting here from the Wild and Scenic Film Festival, based in downtown Nevada City and also in Grass Valley, California, which is literally like just a mile or two away. Thousands and thousands of people come together for this festival. It's one of the largest festivals of its kind. And they join, I mean, our population like quadruples with all kinds of like everyday action heroes, like Justin. It's very exciting. I'm going to say you're an everyday action hero.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
I'll take it.
Nobody's
ever said that to me.
Good.
So.
Yeah, take that, feel it in there, Justin, and own it.
All right.
Own that.
I'm going to just sit with that for a second.
Like, while you're sitting
Everyday
with it,
actions,
while you're sitting with your hero-ness, heroicness, is that a word? Heroicness?
It is now.
No. Justin is the creator of the film Milk and Honey, which I mentioned I try and watch most of the films, but your film is one of the ones I did get to watch. I absolutely loved it. I loved how you crafted a personal story around with the Colorado River, right? And how that river personally affects certain people's lives and livelihood. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, yeah. So Milk and Honey is a collaboration, a film collaboration between my production company, American Rivers, and a group called the Hispanic Access Foundation. And what the Hispanic Access Foundation does is that they actually work with faith-based organizations to help talk about environmental issues. And so American Rivers and Hispanic Access Foundation contacted me about how I might approach a story about the lower Colorado River. And for those of you that don't know, the Colorado River kind of ends just outside of Yuma, Arizona, which is in the southern part of Arizona. And it also feeds 90% of, doesn't feed 90%. So 90% of your leafy greens that you eat in the winter months come from the Yuma Valley. And it's all grown using Colorado River water, and there's this entire community that relies on the Colorado River basically at the end of the line for this river. And so we collaborated together to make a film that raises awareness of how endangered the river is and how vital that river is for things like food production and for the livelihoods of these amazing individuals that work in the fields throughout the winter to bring vegetables to our plate.
And through that personal story, and I want you to talk about one of the individuals featured in the film, but what opened up my eyes is, especially if you drive like to Santa Cruz, for example, and we see the people picking strawberries, different farm workers out there, and not really understanding, like, for the folks that you featured, they were very passionate and felt very connected to the land that they were working on. It wasn't like, well, this is just a job for me. It's how I perceived that.
Sure, no, that I think you say it very well, but so Jose Gonzalez is kind of the primary featured individual in our film, and his wife Olga both either work in the fields or have worked in the fields their entire lives and have raised their family working in the fields. And there's a line in the film where I believe it's Olga, kind of skipping my mind right now, but basically says, we feel humbled and honored to be able to grow food for other parts of the world. That they know that their hard work is going to serve other people. And there's a humility and an honor in the work that they're doing, and it's hard, back-breaking labor. But they're not doing it, just to have a job. They're doing it because it's something they actually really care about, and they see the value of what they're bringing to everyone else.
It's so important to know, isn't it, that love and care goes into the food.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Can you tell us how the church that you featured in there, how they're connected into this story?
So what's interesting is the evangelical churches down in this area, they watched a film that was actually featured at Wild and Scenic a few years ago called I Am Red. And they watched it in a Spanish translation version. And that really rose awareness for that community that the river is threatened, that it's overworked, it's overtapped, and that it's threatened. And they know that being at the end of the line, because 8 miles from where the majority of this film was made, you can literally see where the Colorado River ceases to exist.
Wow. It's supposed to go all the way into Mexico. Initially it was.
It was, yes.
It did. Initially it did.
And it stops at this point called the Morelos Dam, where you have a fairly wide stretch of river that hits the Morelos Dam and then funnels into Mexico in canals and becomes a creek essentially after that. And when they saw that correlation between where the river is threatened, to learn through I Am Red and seeing it firsthand, they started a movement to educate their communities about the health and the threats to the Colorado River. And so through this education, now you have a movement of evangelicals who are saying, we need to protect this water source, we need to protect this river because it is part of our livelihood, it is part of who we are, and it's part of who we have been for generations, because these are individuals that are not just, we talk a lot about illegal immigrants and these people coming across the border to work. Well, these are people that have been in this landscape and on this land for generations. Beyond,
oh my gosh, and even if you don't even look at like borders, for how long the United States or even Arizona or California have been an actual state. I mean, before that, it was, when you look at indigenous people that lived on that land for thousands of years.
Well, they are the indigenous people.
They are the indigenous people.
Landscape.
Yeah.
And so
Such
part
a
of the
good point.
film is filmed in a town called Gadsden, Arizona. And if you know this part of Arizona, it's the last portion of the United States that was brought into the United States through what is called the Gadsden Purchase, right? And so this little strip of land that this film is made in is the last bit of America or the United States that was purchased and put into, everything else. And so there is this connection to the land, and I've been fascinated by this idea for a long time. I've been working on a number of projects around what it means to be connected to landscape and how that connection leads to fighting and leads to protection and leads to thinking about future generations, because from past generations what this place has been.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing, is this connection to the landscape through these communities, saying this is something to fight for, and this is something that is vital, and it's important, and it allows us to grow food for other people, and it allows us to have honor in the work that we do. And it's really it's a beautiful story that kind of came out of this collaboration with American Rivers and the Hispanic Action Foundation.
It's fantastic. And Justin, we talked about this last night a little bit, but knowing that the theme is at the edge.
Yes.
So unless maybe you have a different at the edge story, or you can share what you shared last night, but when's the moment that you were at the edge and felt like I need to take that leap? And maybe that leap was to help make a positive difference, positive impact, or even just on that personal level for yourself.
Yeah. Personally, I feel like we are at the edge.
We are.
We're all collectively toes over the edge. There's so much to fight for. And as an environmental filmmaker, I feel like I'm at that edge. And each of the projects that I take on is to raise awareness or to help shift thinking around some of the issues that I tackle. And so I guess, I don't know, I kind of, live my professional life at the edge and right up to it, and honor everybody that's here that's doing the same thing, which is what's so amazing about Wild and Scenic. To bring all of these films to the community of Nevada City, but then to share it on the tour. Makes the work that we're doing at the edge relevant.
Totally.
And it creates an audience. And so, so every day.
Every day. Justin lives on the edge every day. It reminds me, I just saw a video with Steve Harvey, and he talks about you got to take that leap. Like the people that, when you're looking at looking at what's possible in your life, in order to make things happen, you have to take that leap. Like, it won't happen unless you take that leap. And he said, when you take that leap, the parachute doesn't open right away. It's like you're falling.
You're in free fall.
It's free fall. Sometimes it feels chaotic. You might hit things. You might hit the trees. You might hit the, side of the rocks. But that's part of that experience. But then your parachute opens up.
Yeah.
And then you take off.
Yep.
You take off.
Well, and that
with grace, hopefully with grace and ease.
Parallels a little bit with the belief that is within this film of the evangelicals, which is faith. You know, just having that faith that that parachute is going to open up. So you just have to jump.
Get up to faith. We'll just channel a little bit of George Michael.
Absolutely, gotta have faith.
Tribute to George Michael. Gotta have faith. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Justin.
Oh, I'm embarrassed that that's out there in the world.
It's just on Facebook Live right now. It's perfect. I love that. So tonight, Justin's going to be doing a whole thing of George Michael at the gala. So you're going to have to come and check that out.
With dance moves.
With dance moves. Yeah. Perfect. All right. Wild and Scenic Film Festival.org to find more information. Thanks so much, Justin. Milk and Honey. Check it out. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I like your George Michael rendition, too. That's awesome. That's good. Do you want to get a photo?
Sure.